Now, people are simply not making their payments. Repo rates are on the rise, delinquencies are on the rise, and it's becoming a huge issue. Loan loss provisions at almost every single bank and credit union are having to be increased, and look at what happened to CarMax. Their stock dropped dramatically. And it's because people are seeing the writing on the wall. When people simply don't make the payments, you can sell all the cars you want, but if they don't make their payments, what does it matter? But you still have some banks that are still going crazy with their loan to value ratio, so they're still letting it happen. 500 credit scores, they don't care. And that's the only way most of these dealerships can stay in business. It's to have as many banks as possible, close to 100 in some cases, to try to pick to get these people approved, because people are coming in right now with so much negative equity and bad credit at the same time. With, of course, no money down, and they're trying to get a car. It's such a bad situation. But banks are willing to go up to 150% in some rare cases of the actual loan value of the vehicle. So it's crazy, and this is what's going on in the car market. But all these banks don't want to repo every single car, because if they send it to a dealer-only auction, they're going to lose so much money. They can sell it quick, but it's going to be pennies in the dollar, and also the repo, getting it costs money. And so some places are actually giving people more time. They're like, hey, if you give us a payment in this amount of time, they're giving them 30 days, whatever. But the 60 to 90 day delinquents are on the rise like never before. But it's hilarious because dealerships and manufacturers almost work together to put their own customers in this situation. Yeah, most of them made horrible mistakes without putting any money down or even purchasing the vehicle properly. Or even if you were lucky a few years ago, you paid MSRP for a vehicle. I mean, that's crazy. Now that same vehicle's $15,000 off, and it's still overpriced. But imagine if you were one of the people who paid MSRP or over MSRP, and you were one that didn't put money down. Well, of course, you're going to be upside down. And then you went to the finance box, and people will spend $7,000 at a dealership finance box. And they finance all the warranties, the gap insurances, wheel protection, paint protection, all this stuff's getting financed. And with rates being super high, I mean, people are financing 22.95%. Most dealerships average financing, especially at like a Chevy or Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealer, because they're dealing with so much subprime lending right now, their average rate is 11 to 12%. That is insane. But that's the problem when there's so much subprime lending in the market, and certain dealerships attract subprime customers more than others. And they're known to be able to roll that negative equity over because they can have these huge $10, $15, $20,000.
It's so many factors on why people can't make car payments and all that. Usually, losing a job, income dropping, maybe somebody they got hurt, maybe somebody they love passed away. That could also play a factor and stuff. Or maybe they just not making the payments, not being responsible. Or usually people they are pocket pitching and all that, and they got everything else that's taking their money, but they don't have enough for the car payment and stuff. Mind you, these car payments and stuff are like what, $700 or above, depending on your credit and stuff. And the interest on top of that, and then how much you have to put down. And then the insurance, the car insurance, like if you have like a bad driving history and all that, I think could be pretty up and all that. It could be pretty up and all. And these car dealerships and stuff, they are letting people get cars and stuff, knowing it's not best, but they just trying to get them out and stuff. And the interest rate on these cars and all that is going to be skyrocketing. And these cars are just overpriced and all that, to be honest, also. But before you try to get a car, at least have something that's paying for that car or whatever. Like if you got like some two incomes that's working, let that pay off the car. And if as long as it ain't touching you, what you got and all that, then go ahead. But if you know you can't do it and stuff, don't do it. Just get a car from somewhere else, way cheaper. Buy a cash car and all that. It would be better than financing this car. If you think about it, man, you dishing out about what, $1,000 a month or so just for a cruise or something, or a Grand Wagoneer or whatever, and then it have problems after problems. You might have to pay for maintenance if your dealership work with you. If you got warranty, but half the time the dealerships with the warranty and all that BS. And ask me how I know that, because I know somebody who had literally a new truck, and they've just been having issues on issues. Dealerships always been giving a runaround, and trying to be flimsy with the warranty and all that. And I did co-sign for somebody, and I would never co-sign for like a family member or anybody, and I would never do that again. That was like a, a spiral turning point. But thank God I'm out of that loophole. And the crazy thing about it is, I knew the person really couldn't afford a car and stuff like maintenance or anything, but my dumb nut behind still went and did it like just a dumb nut. But before you co-sign for anybody, you gotta really trust that person. You gotta know their habits and all that. If you know they're a hard worker and they genuinely doing it for the heart and stuff, you do it. But like I said, it's still a risk though, because you don't know what could happen. They could be going the next day, get hurt, or something could dramatically happen and stuff. So you got to be very careful with that. And yeah, so I learned my lesson, and thank God I'm out of that. And thank God I was able to get a car like last year and stuff too. Even though I drive all my other hoopties and all that, which that's my choice. I was thinking about getting a truck and all that, but I'm like, ain't no point. I get something off Facebook Market.
All this stuff is just putting your customer farther behind, because there's plenty of people that would just come keep buying a car, but they simply can't. They're getting declined like never before, because underwriting with the loans have become much stricter. So they're needing more information. They're needing to prove things now. They can't just go willy-nilly.
Yeah, that's very true and all that. They got to be strict and all that.
Really approving loans. And that's how it was over the last few years. It got crazy whenever loans were just getting approved for anybody. And it's still so easy to get a car. I mean, 500 credit.
Oh, yeah, of course it's easy to get a car and stuff. Anybody could get a car at any freaking time and stuff if they want and stuff. Depending on how desperate the dealership and all that is and all. So them cars, it's easy to get a car and all that.
Scores right now are getting loans on vehicles. And I'm talking about newer vehicles, $70,000. It's insane. It's just going to be that higher rate, and a bank's willing to take on the risk. And for them, it's just a huge math equation. They know certain people will make the payments, certain people won't. As we raise that rate, obviously it's more of a risk. And that's why they have something called loan loss provision, which is the money they put aside preparing for all the repos and missed payments. But now they're just calling customers nonstop. They're begging people, just make a payment, make a half payment, anything you can, because they can't repo everybody's car. I mean, that's the situation. There are so many people missing their payments like never before. Worse than 2009, which just goes to show you the situation. Too many people got cars that they simply shouldn't have. And there's a chance that same bank now would say no because they've increased their quality.
Only if you got cars that's paid off and stuff, that's fine. But if you got multiple cars that got loans on there, like, that is crazy. Like I said, if you don't have nothing that's paying off them cars, but you doing everything where you have to, go in 9 to 5 and stuff, it ain't worth it and stuff. It's just gonna drive you crazy and all that. It's not worth it. Just get something to pay for the car and all that. And for I could believe a lot of people missing car payments. The way people talking about how everything is so high. I mean, everything is high and stuff. I'm not gonna lie and stuff. Everything is high, but you just gotta monitor what you spend on and stuff and all that.
Qualifications. But others are saying, hey, that's my opportunity to pick up more business. So they're lowering their obligations. It's crazy how some of them are. But for another bank, that just means more customers for them. So they're going to lower their qualifications to try to get more. It's a crazy market, but the whole car market is ran by banks in the United States, especially new cars. Almost every single one of them is financed. And let's say you didn't finance new cars, dealerships' business model would be completely destroyed. They make so much money bumping rates, selling warranties and gap insurance that would all be gone, because they don't sell those products generally when someone pays cash. They sell them very rarely, and some of them you can't, like Gap and stuff like that. So they're just losing out on straight money that they would make. But at the end of the day, if the bank stops lending, car dealerships stop selling. It's that simple. But I think most banks at the end of the day have no choice but to tighten up overall, and that's why they're increasing their loan loss provisions. They don't have an option. With car delinquency so high, it's crazy what's going on. But let me know what you think about the car market. All these people got car loans that they probably shouldn't have, and now, of course, I could have told you that guy wasn't going to make his payment, and now the bank's sitting there holding the bag, and they're about to have to repo cars like left and right. Never before. I can tell you, repo people are going to be busy. And we just had a few years where repos were the lowest ever, and now we're about to have them the highest they've ever been ever. So it's a crazy market, but let me know what you think. All these banks took out way too much risk, and they took on a lot of subprime lenders. With the dealerships adding their extra fees and market adjustments, just put the customer even farther behind, and now you have a situation with all these people and so much negative negative equity, so they're not even able to get out of the car if they wanted to because they don't have any money, and now they're stuck like Chuck, can't make the payment. It's a bad situation. Let me know what you think. Have a great day and stay blessed. All this
Yeah, like I said, don't buy the car if you don't need the car. Like if you got a car, don't get the car knowing you can't afford it and stuff. Like I said, I made a mistake the one time and all that for somebody. They had a car and all that, and their excuse was like, "Oh, the head stud broke off the motor." He got that car sold, and the guy he removed the head bolt or whatever, and he was driving it like nothing. And me, I should have been. I'm like, damn. You should have kept that car. You should have got it fixed. And guess what? You would save, tons of money and all that, to that person and all. But they wasn't listening or anything. So all that went downhill and stuff. So that is like, yeah, I ain't co-signing for nobody ever again. But like I said, I thank God I'm out the loophole. I'm moving way, way smarter. I was moving way smarter before, but it was just that one particular time where you're just trying to look out for somebody, but it just crossfires and all that. And like I said, man, it ain't no point of having like as I think about it, really ain't that point of having like multiple loans on a vehicle and all that. Like that's a lot, especially if you don't like as a regular, normal, average person. Come on now, yeah, I think. Now, multimillionaire, whatever. I mean, you could possibly do that if you got some stuff that's paying it and stuff. But yeah, that's why it's important to have like multiple sources of income and stuff too on that end. So if you're young or anything, seeing this video or anybody, share it. Tell them do not do it. Just wait. If you know you can do it, you do it. Just do it. But at least have your credit good. That's number one. Have good payment history and all that. That's number two. And just have like some type of other sources of income instead of like a main income and all that. So I think that's pretty much it. I'm trying to see what else. Like I said, so many things could cause this right here, like so many issues. And there's a lot of people lazy too. Like they get the car, they work hard, and then they just probably get burnt out to where like, damn, like I really can't make the car payments. And like I said, other stuff could be playing a factor. Other things could play a factor, man. Usually a lot of people are choosing what's the word that they usually choose the pleasure and all that over the responsibility. Let me say that. But everybody been there before. That's why the schools, they should have been teaching people financial literacy. That's why you gotta learn it on your own and stuff. I end up, what is book at? I ended up getting some books talking about finances. I had got one book and my mom given. Forgot that one guy book. But anyway, yeah, don't put yourself in a hole, man. That's all I gotta say. That's my 2 cents. Nothing too crazy, nothing too deep. Look out for some more.